Chicago was a team that was considering trade for him too. I mean, obviously Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant are basically hand in hand, almost identical players.
Welcome back to the Clutch Points YouTube channel. Back with another video. Today we're going to talk about three NBA trades, three what-if NBA trades that didn't happen, that could have happened. If they had happened, kind of how it would have changed the landscape of the league a little bit. So the first big one we're going to talk about is in 2009.
Yep.
The Warriors almost traded Steph and Curry for Amari Stoudemire. Basically, the premise of this was that Steve Kerr was going to be the general manager of the Phoenix Suns in the 2009, or he was the Phoenix Suns GM during the 2009 draft. And he almost traded Stoudemire for the 14th overall pick to the Warriors for Stephen Curry. And then obviously fell through with Stoudemire's, knee issues. I mean, that would have been crazy.
Yeah.
Stephen Curry not in a Golden State Warriors uniform.
There are a few different times when Steph Curry was either traded or even just like in the draft. The fact that the Knicks, Timberwolves, one of those teams didn't end up with Steph Curry is still insane to think about, because the Warriors kind of had Steph Curry fall in their lap. I think the Timberwolves took Johnny Flynn, and who I think it was, it may have been Ricky Rubio was the other point guard that they took. I just want to point this out as well, so people are like, oh, like who would have traded Steph for Amari, like an unproven Steph Curry at the time. Amari Stoudemire was a guy that was averaging 25, like
that
career average of 19 points, and there are so many seasons. His career high in a season is 26 and 04, and then the year before he almost got traded was 25 and then 21 points right before. He was a phenomenal player. Injuries is definitely something that held him back. That definitely derailed his career, kind of slowed it down towards the end. He went to New York, which was a fantastic signing, and then as the injuries just started pouring in, it just kind of, his career just started going down. At the time, the Warriors get someone like Amari Stoudemire,
a proven player
that makes them like a contender, that makes them a team that you have to look out for winning a championship. Then you have to look at it from the long-term perspective, because at the time, Amari Stoudemire was, let's see, who was at that point, he was only 26, 27 years old, so just entering his prime. You would have had a great few years with him, but then after those great few years, what would have happened after that, And then he went to New York 2 years, or the year after that trade would have happened. So would he have stayed in Golden State? Would he have stayed long term? That's all questions that are hypotheticals. You can't really, come up with a proven, this was going to happen, because you wouldn't know what would have happened. And two, what would have happened if Steph Curry went to the Suns? Would they have become a contending team? Would they have become a dynasty like the Warriors are now? You really have to think about short-term and long-term. Short-term would have helped the Warriors. Long-term probably wouldn't have.
All right, so the next big one, 2007. There was rumors that Kobe Bryant was going to be traded to the Detroit Pistons. Bryant obviously went public and said that he would like to be traded after missing the playoffs. Some of the Pistons packages included Rip Hamilton, Rodney Stuckey, Jason Maxiell, and 2 first-round picks. Another one was Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Amir Johnson, and a future first-round pick. So it seemed like it had steam, and there was actual conversations about Kobe Bryant being a Detroit Piston. That's just that's crazy.
What was it, in 07 it was?
07, yeah.
Kobe Bryant had every reason to want to get traded from the Lakers at that point. Years after.
They dealt Shaq, too.
They dealt Shaq a few years prior, and it was kind of like he was just by himself. And, there are years he averaged 36 points a game. There are years where he was the only the only notable player on that team that was leading them to the playoffs, and obviously couldn't get it done. I remember Chicago was a team that was considering trade for him too. Obviously Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant are basically hand in hand, almost identical players. So him going to Chicago would have been something crazy too. But Detroit, they had gotten him. They were kind of on the tail end of their, I don't want to say not a dynasty by any means, but they were a very good team. I think they made the Eastern Conference Finals a handful of years in a 5-6 year span. And honestly, for a team like the Pistons, you get someone like him, you still got a few, you still got Chauncey Billups there. I think Rasheed Wallace, maybe Ben Wallace were still hanging around. You trade for Kobe Bryant, you're going to be a championship contending team. That's a type of player that no matter what you trade for him, he's going to make you better no matter what. And the Lakers, obviously, thank God they didn't do that, because if they did, who knows what would have happened to them in the future. Obviously, they get all those players you mentioned. They're not scrubs, but they're a team that those are the the type of players, like role players, that keep you afloat. Like, you'll be competitive. None of them are Kobe Bryant-esque players. And then you're not going to be trading for Pau Gasol. You're not going to be getting Lamar Odom isn't going to be showcasing his talents the way that he did those next few years. And obviously the Lakers, hindsight 2020 at this time, but a few years after, they made the NBA Finals in 08, and they won the 2 years after. So they stuck it out with Kobe. Whatever it may have been convincing him, they're saying, hey, we'll bring you talent, we'll do this and that, whatever we have to do, which they did. They got Pau Gasol.
They did.
They drafted Andrew Bynum, who was a very young prospect, but very good at that time. Lamar Odom obviously was a 6th Man of the Year player. It would have been weird seeing Kobe wearing any jersey besides a Lakers one.
All right, and the last one we have, this was a big one at the time, when David Stern blocked Chris Paul from being traded to the Lakers in 2011.
Oh, yeah.
A trade that definitely would have shook a lot of things up. You know, Paul and Harden had their issues in Houston, so a lot of people wondered if Kobe and Paul would have had their issues in LA.
Right.
Obviously, it didn't come to fruition. David Stern didn't want a big name player going to LA, and then the Hornets having absolutely nothing. There was outrage across the league about it. Lakers fans were obviously very upset. Could have been for the better. Could have been for the worse. We'll never know. But that would have been huge. Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant together.
Because I'm looking at this trade right now. So it would have been a 3-team trade type of deal. The Rockets would have gotten Pau. Hornets would get Lamar Odom, Luis Scola, Kevin Martin, Dragic, and a pick, and then obviously the Lakers would get Chris Paul. And like, you don't see trades get vetoed often, or dare I say ever. Chris Paul at the time, Chris Paul, in my opinion, is one of the better point guards of all time. We've had this debate before. I think he's right on the threshold of being top 5. I think you can make a fair argument that he's top 5 right at there. I think he should be in everyone's top 10 at the very least, and he should be, in my opinion, like consensus top 6 or 7. But you made a good point, saying would it have worked out with Kobe? Obviously, Kobe, not saying he has an ego by any means, but his mentality, it's hard for some players to really get along with. You know, it could be like, a lot of players love playing with this guy because he pushes them. Like, he brings out the best in his teammates, and there's some guys that are like, fuck this guy. Like, I don't want to play with this dick, whatever it may be. And you've heard both sides of it. I would like to think that if he went to the Lakers, that you have 2 players that have, I don't want to use ego here. I'm going to use the word ego, but I don't mean it in the sense of like hot-headed or anything. Their egos in the sense of they know how good they are, but they're good enough to know that if they put it together, they could be unstoppable. So I would like to think if Kobe and Chris Paul did become teammates, you would still have Andrew Bynum. You had Metta World Peace. You had a few other role players. Obviously, you lose out on Lamar. You lose out on Pau Gasol, which would be 2 big losses for sure. But when you got 2 players, again, you still got Kobe Bryant, who was an MVP caliber player every year. Chris Paul, who at that time was an MVP caliber player every year. It would have been the best backcourt in the NBA, I think, by a wide margin. And when you're that good, you attract players.
You do.
So like, let's say they didn't, so that was at the trade deadline. Let's say that they didn't pull it out that year, that off season, I guarantee you they would have had vets, not like older guys, but guys that can still contribute, that are just looking to ring chase or just like contribute to a good team. They would have attracted that. Chris Paul and Kobe together, especially during that time for Chris Paul, where he was just right before his prime and still had so many good, he's 37, 38 right now and still contributing. So like, just imagining him 10 years younger with a hungry Kobe Bryant that was looking to, match Jordan for 6 rings, I think they would have made it happen.
For sure.
R.I.P. David Stern, but man, he fucking pissed off a lot of people by doing that, man. But let us know in the comments what you think of those hypothetical trades, who you think, or what you think should have happened. Should those trades have gone through? Should they have not have gone through? What are your thoughts, opinions? Put that down in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe, check out all the other videos on this platform. Check out Clutch Points on other social media platforms as well, like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Look us up. We're there. Let us know what kind of videos you want us to do next. Game suggestions, just topics we can debate, talk about. Let us know. And until next time, peace out.
Peace.